Revelation 3585. From the 22nd of October 1945. Final test of wills. The beingness which resisted God had to live through endless times of bondage, and only a short phase is given to it to test its will, yet this short phase is decisive for its further state, for its fate in eternity. The course through the material world is certainly agonizing for the spiritual being because it cannot freely work according to its will. In the last stage, however, its will is freely given and therefore life as a human being no longer seems unbearable to it. Indeed, it usually feels so comfortable in this stage that it makes no effort to exchange it for a free life as a spirit, free of all earthly matter and thus of all fetters which previously bound the free spiritual. And that is why the last test of will is often not passed, and the endless long course of ascent development before was in vain when earthly life still results in the spiritual being regressing, that it falls back into the hands of its enemy, who is to blame for its lack of freedom. And yet, this last test must be imposed on the spiritual being because it should strive towards God in complete free will if it wants to become free and regain its original strength. At the beginning of its embodiment as a human being it is in a degree of maturity which guarantees its complete liberation, thus every human being can wrest himself from the adversary's power during his short earthly life. He is offered all possibilities to do so, and he is also assured of God's support if he only asks for it. But in order to test his will the adversary must also have the power to make him compliant with his desire, otherwise one cannot speak of a decision of will. And that is why earthly life is full of struggles and temptations, of all kinds of resistance, which the spiritual must and can overcome with God's help. So the human being must consciously make use of God's help. He must be given the knowledge of a power which can do everything it wants and wants everything that is good, because it is love in itself. The human being must believe in this power and make contact with it and, full of desire to belong to this power, appeal to it for strength to reach the goal on earth. Then he will release himself from bondage, because God's love seizes everything that consciously and in free will turns towards it again, as it once turned away from it in free will. The spiritual being has to pass this final test of will, and earthly life is given to it for this purpose, so that it will finally be released from God's opposing power and reach its original state again. That it is intimately united with God as a being of light, from whom it once originated. Amen.